Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to um, introduce Python list and explain how to access items in a list. In subsequent videos, I'll demonstrate additional list functions. So let's create a simple list. So I can say my list equal, and then I can create a list of Fred. Okay, actually, Fred, Joe. Um, I could mix data types, but actually, so I'll say Apple, and I'll keep it monolithic for now. So Fred, Joe, Apple, banana, uh, banana, mango. Okay, so I can create a list like this by using the square bracket and a comma separated list of values. Just for fun, let me add a number and a boolean. So the thing of the list is the data types don't have to be the same. You can mix different types. So I'm just kind of doing this to prove that you can do that. Okay, so once I've created the list, we already saw how to loop through a list in the tutorial on for loops. And so I will not necessarily go through that again, but I will loop through at some point. So what I want to do is access items in the list. So for example, I can print my list at, okay, I specify an index. So let's say I want to print my list at index 1. Okay, index 1, the indexing starts from 0, so Fred is index 0, index 1 is Joe. So this should print Joe if I run it. So let me run it and let's prove that it's going to print Joe. Okay, so it's going to, okay, I hit the run button. Okay, so there it is, Joe. Okay, so at index 1 is Joe. Another thing I might be interested in doing is printing a range of values. So for example, I could print my list square bracket index 1 to 4. When I give it a range like that, it will start from 1, but it would not include index 4. So index 1 is Joe, 2 is Apple, 3 is banana. So it should print those three. It doesn't print the ending index. So this should print Joe, Apple, banana. Okay, so that's what we want. And then I could also um, specify the beginning, but not the end, which will mean that it will print from the beginning to the end. So if I do my list at index 1 colon, I haven't specified where it ends, so it'll start from 1 and go all the way to the end of the list. So let's prove that that's what it does. And that is, it starts from Joe and goes to the end. Proof. Okay, and I can also do my list at, instead of specifying the beginning index, I only specify the end. So let's say that I want it to go to index 4, but not including 4. Okay, actually, let me make it 3. That's okay. So if you specify only the ending index, it will print everything from the beginning, but not including the last index. So if I run this, you can see this starts from Fred Joe to Apple, but it doesn't include index 3, which is banana. So that's how you access items in a list once you've created the list. We could obviously um, loop through the list like we did before. So for example, for I can say for item in my list, I want to print item, and I could once I do that, I could print each value in the list. So I'm going to say item and equal that to print everything on the same line. Without that, it will print everything on its own line. So I want everything on the same line. And so let me run this. Okay, so it printed everything in the list from Fred to true on the same line separated by a space, because that's what I said. I could add a comma here. And I get a comma separated list of values instead. So the end equal allows you to print on the same line. The other thing I wanted was so you could check to see if an item is in the list. So I can say if um, apple in if apple in my list, then I want to print the list contains apple. Okay, so this will print this if the list contains apple, otherwise it will not print anything. So actually, once again, let me add the \n to put this on its own line and run it again. Okay, so the list does contain apple. If I change this to that without the e, let me add an else statement. Else print the list does not contain apple. Actually, yeah, APPL, something like that. Okay, so it's either going to print the list contains. In this case, I got rid of an E, so either it contains that or does not contain. So in this case, it would print the list does not contain. So let me run that. The list does not contain. Again, I should put the \n there to put it on its own line. So yeah, so I got rid of the E, so it doesn't match. So it says the list does not contain. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next video, I'll cover other list functions such as adding items, removing items. So see you in the next video.